Hey guys, David from DJ Productions back with another Kandi tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the ever so popular flower cuff, also known as the daisy cuff, and how to take it another step further and make a spike cuff, also known as a 3D flower cuff. This is a beginner level Kandi tutorial because it is so easy. For this tutorial, you'll need beads, elastic, and a pair of scissors. Of course, like any other cuff, the amount of elastic you'll need will depend on how big you want your cuff to be. Usually an arm span's length is good enough for just a flower cuff that'll fit comfortably around your wrist, but since I'm going to be creating a spike cuff, I'm using double that amount. It's always better to have too much than too little. As for beads, each flower will be 7 beads, 6 petal beads, and 1 center bead. For the spikes, you'll need 12 beads per spike, 10 outer beads, and 2 center beads, and then a little more to create the border, which I'll show later. So you can start out making this cuff like you would a regular cuff and string on the first row of beads, but personally that just seems like a lot of work due to the fact that you have to skip beads at the top and the bottom of the cuff, well, depending on how you're choosing to execute it. Anyways, what I'm doing instead is creating a spine for the cuff, or in other words, stringing on the center rows at the same time. To do that, you'll take both ends of elastic, don't cut it in half, and then string on your first 2 petal colors, one through the top half of elastic and the other through the bottom. Then you'll take a bead of the center color and string both halves of elastic through that single bead. At this point, you should have 3 beads strung. When you pull the beads to the folded end of elastic, your 2 petal colors should be on top of each other and your center bead should be right in the middle of them. Then you want to string on 2 more petal colors, again one through the top and one through the bottom. There you go, you have the start of a Kandi flower. So next, if you just want to make a daisy cuff, string on 2 petal color beads of your next flower like you did before, then string on a center color bead and then 2 more petal colors. And continue this process until you have enough flowers to go around your wrist. To adjust the size, you'll need to add or remove colors in increments of 3 beads, not 1. If you're going to add a bead in between each flower, or if you're going to create a spike cuff, you'll need to add or remove columns of beads in increments of 4. So once you've reached the desired amount of flowers or spikes, take both ends of elastic and string them through the first petal bead you strung, and pull the elastic through until both ends meet. You don't have to do this, but it'd be best to stay consistent with which half is the top and which half is the bottom. To be honest, this is the trickiest part, and it may intimidate you because your spine may start loosening the more you bring your ends together. But that's fine, because you'll be stringing on more beads and it'll tighten it right back up. Just make sure your spine doesn't get too loose though. So once you get both ends to meet, you can start stringing the rest of your beads. If you're just making a flower cuff, all of your center colored beads should be used. To finish the flower cuff, you just string your petal beads on any column that has just a center bead. And if you have dividers between your flowers, string your elastic back through the dividing beads, not straight across from petal to petal. For spike cuffs, like I mentioned before, you'll be needing extra beads for the border. So you'll string on a petal bead, a border bead, a petal bead, a border bead, and so on both the top and the bottom of the cuff. If you're just doing flowers, congratulations. You can stop here, tie it off, and enjoy your new cuff. But if you're making a spike cuff, you're still beading. At this point, just string on the border colors all the way around. Finally, string the last round of border bead. Follow along carefully though. You're only stringing border beads on columns with flower centers. In other words, if you see a gap above or below a petal bead, that is where you're stringing a new border bead. Then string through previously strung beads until you reach your next gap. Once you go all the way around on both the top and the bottom, it's time to create the spikes. So take whichever half of elastic you want to start with and string it through previously strung beads until it's coming out of a petal bead. Here you're going to string on 3 beads, a petal color bead, a center color bead, and then another petal color bead. Then take your end of elastic and string it through the petal bead that is across at a diagonal from the petal bead your elastic is currently coming out of. Then pull it tight. It'd probably be better to watch what I do instead of trying to understand what I said. You should now have a hill-looking cluster of beads. With your other end of elastic, string it through previously strung beads until it's coming out of a petal bead of the same flower you were previously working on. Make sure though your elastic is coming out of a bead that you haven't already restrung through. This is where the process is slightly different. You're going to string on just 1 petal color bead, then string through the existing center bead, and then add another petal color bead, and then again string it through the base flower bead. There you go, you have a spike. And then repeat the process again with the rest of your flowers. Remember to string through previously strung beads whenever you're trying to get the elastic to reach another part of the cuff. Also, pull tight after each spike. The tighter it is, the more defined the spike becomes. Finally, just tie it off and enjoy your new cuff. I hope this tutorial helped you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in a comment below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. It's free and it will let you know every time I post a new video. You can also follow me on social media at DJBoy3000, DJB0Y300, and don't forget to like my new Facebook page at facebook.com/DavidBermillo-Entrepreneur, and check out my new website at mycrazykamikaze.com. Don't worry though, if that's too much information, the links will be in the description. Again, this is David from DJ Productions. Stay perfect.